Hi, welcome to the lunch video. Hopefully we'll be able to finish up the topic here about IGP authentication. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Last video, I set up authentication for ISIS, and I realized, and I remember it had to be specified per level. You can't just set up authentication in ISIS and have it apply to both levels. You have to enter it twice if you want it for each level. The other notable thing I remember is, I guess that's it really. I did make a mistake in forgetting the area portion of the NET address, network entity title address. So as such, router 4 was in a different area than routers 1, 2, and 3, so it was only able to form a level 2 adjacency. But I got that figured out, so let's use the same philosophy from before and just try to get this as soon as possible, as opposed to just trying to demo the remote configuration from guest 1. I already demoed that in previous videos, so this video I'll just try to get through this topic as quick as I can. I feel pretty confident with it, so it's not something I really think I need to spend a lot of time on. One thing I will need to take note of, though, is what the extra options are, because the exam may tell me to configure them. So I will need to be aware that they exist. So on router 3 and 4 is where I set up authentication. Yep. So let's see the help menu one last time. So we've got on ISIS the ability to authenticate hellos. It looks like that's all we got. There really aren't a lot of robust features for authentication for ISIS. All right, so let's move on to OSPF version 3. Okay, so we're just stripping everything down. So the other thing we'll need to strip down is we can leave them up. You can dual stack IPv6 and IPv4. So there's no need to strip down the IPv4 addresses. But we will need to add IPv6 addresses. So it's going to be family INET 6. And then the address will go with 2001 GB8 because that's the address block reserved for documentation. And then we'll do : 0:1. Okay, and we've got to make sure that. Okay, let's just do a /64. And let's use EUI /64. So : DB8 : and then I thought there was a way to do EUI/64. EUI/yes, or -64 rather. I thought there was a way to do that. I thought it was under address. Yeah, I thought you could just specify the network address and then have it automatically do the other part. Oh, I see. It's because I'm in edit mode at that. Yeah, here it is. So EUI64, perfect. So let's do well, let's do a top and then a rollback 0. We'll do set interfaces, family inet 6 address, 2001 DB8, and then :0. We'll do ::0/64, and then to get the host address, we'll do EUI/64. Okay. So now we can do that, and we only need to worry about what our network addresses are, and we won't need to think about our host addresses. Great. So I'm gonna commit that. All right, so now we'll configure the other side of that. Okay, so this is going to be family inet 6 address, and it's going to be 2001 DB8 0 : or actually I do : :0/64 EUL. Okay. Okay, so now we can see, hopefully, that there is a IPv6 address on here. Yep, here it is. And this will look awfully familiar because it'll match the physical interface, except for it'll have the 7th bit flipped. So instead of 63, we've got a, so we still have the 63, but instead of a 0C, we have a 0E. And then we've got FFFE inserted into the middle. But the last part's exactly the same, 362E02. So we do have a valid host address on this interface for IPv6. All right, so let's finish the rest of the interfaces. Oh, so this is interesting. It's saying the host part must not be specified. So I thought it would be fine for me to do : but I actually don't think that is fine because I'm talking about the last octet. I was hoping it would recognize that I was only talking about the first 64 bits, but I don't think it can do that. So in fact, I will need to fix what I put on 000 or show pipe display set relative. Yep. And delete family INET6. Perfect. Set family INET6 address. All right, this will work. So it's going to be a different address than what I had initially wanted. In order to make it consistent with what I want, I would have to do :0:1, but it's okay to have it like this. There's kind of no harm, no foul. But if I were asked to assign a specific space, of course, I would need to use that specific space, and I couldn't just take a shortcut like this and do a space I wasn't assigned to use. But it's the lab, so I can use whatever I want. So I will use this. Oops, so looks like we've got another issue here. Okay, so let's do a rollback 0. Oh, okay, so yeah, it's the lingering configuration. So show type compare. Yep, and now we can add this back in right here. Commit and quit. Perfect. So now it's time to configure the same statement on router 2, but for the interface it belongs to. Okay, so I've got a different buffer here because I'm in a different prompt. So this command I just entered won't be in the buffer for this prompt. Okay, so I think we're good to go now. Let's do a show configuration. It's just interesting that it said that there were no changes to commit. Okay, there we go. So now let's configure the new address. Okay, that's interesting. So those are the same addresses, whether I have : here or : here, which is what I thought. Okay, so yep, you can see we've got colon before, even though I had it after before. And same thing here. Yep, we've got it before. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Okay. All right, so this one's to router 4. Oops, and it looks like we went with subnet 0, which is kind of interesting that it didn't reject it because I've got the same subnet on 2 different interfaces. Let's do a show configuration interface just to narrow it down. Huh. Okay. Let's take a look at a show route for INET 6. There we go. So you can see, yep, you can have the same network address on 2 different ports. So that's not what I want though. So I'm going to go back in and fix G01. Oh, okay, so now the host part must not be specified. Okay, so I think it does make a difference for this one. It just didn't make a difference for the other one since I was using zeros. Okay, so that definitely worked. Let's do a show route on the INET 6 table. Okay, so now we've got, oops, it looks like we've only got one network now. And that's because I think that's because the other side isn't set up. So let's do that and then look at the routing table again. This is going to go to router 4. Okay, so that is correct. See what our routing table looks like now. Aha, so this is what I expected it to look like. Now got a direct route. And you can see it's 1:0 here, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So my original intent was to have it 0:1 here, but I did 1:0 instead. You know what? I think I will probably go ahead and change that. The other thing I might want to do is not use this 0 network because it's not as clear. Of course, you won't get that luxury in production. You just got to use what you got. But in my lab, I just want to make things really nice and easy to look at. And then on the test, it's going to be harder, but I think hopefully I'll be able to figure it out. Oh, this, yeah, I'm always going to need the colon. There we go. So now edit interfaces 001, MIINet6. Oh, there's some dogs barking out there. I did witness a fender bender earlier. So let's see here. We've got a address on here. I think I'm gonna go with one of these. There, much better. So we've got DB8. For this one, it's going to be ::2. So :0:2::. And for the host address portion, we'll just use EUI, which stands for Extended Universal Indicator, I believe. It doesn't really matter what it stands for as long as I understand what it does. I just think it's nice to know, and it does, I think, sometimes pay off to understand what it stands for. All right, so this is going to be now ::1. All right, so oops, you cannot assign address 0 on some, aha, so what happened is it deletes the most specific part, so I only deleted the fact that there's EUI64, I did not delete the address. So if I do a show pipe compare, and that's why this is really important to do, you can see, oh, sure enough, I still did not delete. Oh, no, I did, because there's minus signs now. So this is good to go. All right, so time for router 4. Okay, and this is going to be :0:2::. It's going to have EUI64 for the host address portion, and then it's going to have set. So let's do a show pipe compare. Yep. All right, so now hopefully the routing table for INET 6. Looks a lot better. And it does. You can see we've got very clear looking network addresses, and then the host address doesn't matter so much. We just got the classic FFE in there. We know that it is EUI//64 generated. Okay, so let's finish it up. And I'll skip the ones to the server. I just don't think it's that important to have IPv6 access to the jump hosts. It's a Juniper exam, not a Linux exam. Okay, so this one goes to router 3. It's going to be interface G000. All right, so now the routing table on R1, I look at it again. We'll have an extra route in there. So we're done with the routes for R1 because we're just going to be doing the interconnect links. We're not going to be doing the links to the jump hosts. So let's move over to router 2. Okay, so now we can see we're going to need to configure GE1 and GE2. And we're on network 4. Okay, so before going too far, let's configure the other side. So we'll do a show interface descriptions, pipe match. Perfect. So, oops, so this is router 1, which is interesting because So I must have incorrectly configured router 2. So yeah, so router 1 is meant to be GE001. It looks like I accidentally configured 000 for router 1. So we're going to need to roll back the change I just made. Okay, and then we're going to need to delete the configuration I have on GE000 and apply it to GE001. I'm actually kind of surprised that the routing table on router 1 looked fine. Yeah, I don't see, well, I mean, I fixed it now, but before I didn't see any issues with this direct route. Oops. So I know what the problem is. I deleted the most specific part, but not the whole thing. So this is why a show pipe compare is always important. Oops, yep, and I can even go one step further and delete the whole family INET 6 because I currently don't need it. So I'd be deleting that here. Yep. There we go. So I can delete everything off there. Of course, I'm not going to be able to delete unit 0 because I've got family INET 4 on there. But this looks like it's good to go. All right, so let's look at the routing table again. Looks fine. Okay, and here the routing table, oops, it looks like the routing table, okay, it just took a little bit of, oh, no, I just didn't see it, okay. Oh, no, it did. It just took a little bit of time to populate in there. But we can see it looks fine. So let's configure the other interfaces. Okay, so let's configure GE000. Okay, so perfect. And then we'll configure the other side right away. Which is going to be router 3. And the port's going to be GE002. All right, so now we'll have :4 in the routing table. There we go. So we've got one more to go, and it's going to be 002. This is going to be :5. All right, so let's configure the other side of this link right away. So show int description, pipe match 002. Okay, so this is going to be a configuration on router 4. On GE001. Okay, I thought it was :5. Oops. So we've got a problem here. Cannot assign, oh, so I forgot the EUI64. So of course we can't assign a network address to an interface. Network addresses are used for things like static addresses or anything to do with routing. On an interface, you need a host address, but you can auto-generate one with EUI -64. So that's what this means, cannot assign address 0. So this means the 0th address, the network address, is the one it cannot assign. But we're good to go now. So we have 3 networks in the IPv6 table. INET 6.0. So we've got :1, :2. Oh, and we're already learning routes because remember ISIS is not part of IP protocol. So we can already learn these routes without doing special configuration that we would have to do with other kinds of IGPs. This is why ISIS is the preferred protocol for a lot of ISPs, because it does not rely on IP. So you can serve your legacy here, and you can have changes to your network depend on less things. So let's see here. So I'm definitely going to need to get really good at ISIS. This is definitely the IGP I'm going to be using during the exam. If they have you configure an IGP and you get to choose one, I'm choosing ISIS. So let's continue on to router 3. Okay, so we've got 2 interfaces on router 3 that require configuration. All right. So router 4. All right. Okay, so this is an interesting one. It says, aha, so nope, it's not a valid IPv4 address. It's a IPv6 address. All right, so let's do a commit and quit. Go back to router 3. And do another show configuration. So we've got one more. Oh, it looks like we're all good on router 3 now. So let's check router 4. Oops, and we'll check for configuration interfaces. Okay, so we're missing just one on router 4, and that's the connection to router 3. This is going to be :7. Okay, so now we'll need to go over to router 3 and find out which address to configure. So it looks like it's going to be, oops. So we've got a little bit of a problem here because you can see we've already got it configured. and it's configured with :6. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we've also got 7. That's because I never did that. Yep, so we don't need this one. I will delete it. Okay, and let's count up how many we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we only need 6. We don't need 7. Oops, and you can see I deleted the most specific parts. Oh, we're just going to need to delete this. We can't delete it too general because we do have 2 IPv6 addresses on here currently. We want to delete just one of them, but keep the other one. Okay, so now you can see we've got only 6 in here. We've got some learned through ISIS. We've got 3 learned through ISIS because we've got that set up. So let's see how many we would need to learn through ISIS. 1, 2, 3. Yep. So it would be 3. Now I thought I did disable ISIS on one of these routers, so I'm surprised it was able to learn all 3 because I thought there was one that was disabled. Let's see if that is the case. So I'll do a show configuration protocols ISIS. Pipe display set. So it's definitely enabled on router 4, as well as router 3. Oh, and it looks like it's, aha, so this is interesting. It looks like you don't have to have family ISO on there. Ah, okay. Router 1 doesn't have it at all. So yeah, it's really interesting that ISIS is not having issues. Okay, but this makes sense. We're not learning any. Oh, I guess it would make sense because we've got ISIS enabled. Let's go back to where I figured out where it's enabled. So it's not enabled on router 1. It's not enabled. It is enabled on router 2, but only partially enabled. But router 3 and router 4, it is fully enabled. So this is the only network, the link to router 1, where it would be suspect. So the link between router 2 and router 1. So if I go on here and I do show int descriptions, type match R1, we can see that it's G001. Oops, configurations. There we go. So, yep, we've got family ISO. So this is :1. So let's see if Okay, so we are learning :1 through ISAS somehow, even though we can see that ISAS on router 2 doesn't have, oh, no, it does, okay. It is fully enabled, it's family ISO. Okay, yeah, I was just confusing myself. If I do a ISO, oops, okay, yep, you can see family ISO is configured on everything, no issues. So the lunchtime video's only got 4 minutes, so I think I could do it in 4 minutes. And by that, I mean just disable family ISO. Yep, this is all I need to do. Oops, I also need to delete protocols ISIS. Okay, and I'm going to need to do that on every single one, so I'll throw those commands in a notepad and shouldn't have any trouble finishing this up before the lunch video is over. Right, so we're just going to blank it out, and then in the after work video, hopefully I can do one. This time, the last few days I didn't do one because I was feeling kind of sick. But hopefully I can do one today, and then we'll be able to close this out today. All right, so yep, and we already deleted it from R1, so that's the end of the video. Next video will be setting up OSPF version 3, making sure our neighbors form, and then playing around with authentication. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.